Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master, where the smallest coins sometimes hold the biggest secrets. Today, we're diving into the unbelievable story behind a 1967 one-dime coin from the United States that, despite its humble face value of just 10 cents, is now worth an astronomical $14 million. That's right, this tiny piece of metal, which many might overlook or leave in a drawer or coin jar, has a story and value that rivals luxury mansions and exotic cars. But what could possibly make a common 10-cent piece worth millions? Buckle in, because you're about to discover the rare world of minting errors, historical anomalies, and numismatic gold mines. Before we jump into the reasons why this 1967 one-dime has soared to such an epic value, it's important to understand the background of this coin. 1967 was not a typical year for coin production in the United States. This was a transitional time, just a couple of years after the U.S. Mint had made a major change in coin composition due to the rising cost of silver. In 1965, the government made a crucial decision to remove silver from dimes and quarters due to the metal becoming more valuable than the coins themselves. That meant by 1967, dimes were no longer being struck in 90% silver as they were before. Instead, they were minted in a copper-nickel-clad composition, a cheaper alternative meant to stabilize the currency. So why is a dime from this particular year, which was mass-produced and part of the new base metal era, now valued at $14 million? The answer lies in the unusual, unexpected, and extremely rare errors and variants that made their way out of the mint. Let's begin by looking at the sheer scale of production. In 1967, the U.S. Mint was producing coins at an extraordinary pace. The country was experiencing economic and population growth, and more coins were needed for circulation. Over 2.2 billion dimes were struck that year. But because of such high demand, quality control standards were often compromised. The mint was under pressure to push out coins quickly, which sometimes led to mistakes that today are worth small fortunes to collectors. One of the primary reasons this 1967 dime is so valuable is because of a double strike mint error. In simple terms, a double strike happens when a coin is struck more than once by the dies used to imprint the design. In most cases, the coin is ejected cleanly after the first strike, but if it's not positioned correctly or gets jammed, it can be struck again, resulting in a doubling of features, sometimes quite dramatically. A 1967 dime that was double struck and remained in excellent condition made headlines when it was sold at auction for millions. Its rarity, coupled with pristine detail and historical significance, gave it an unmatched appeal. But the story doesn't end there. Another known anomaly associated with the 1967 dimes is a transitional error involving silver planchets. Even though silver was officially removed from dimes starting in 1965, there were still a few leftover silver planchets, blanks intended for striking coins, that somehow remained in the minting machines and were used in subsequent years. It's extremely rare, but there have been confirmed instances of 1967 dimes struck on 90% silver planchets. These coins are distinguishable not just by weight but by sound, luster, and specific gravity tests. Finding a silver 1967 dime is like finding a ghost from the past. Technically, it shouldn't exist, yet here it is. The existence of just a few such coins has caused bidding wars among collectors, skyrocketing the value into millions depending on the coin's condition and provenance. Speaking of provenance, one of the most interesting stories tied to the $14 million dime involves a coin that was part of a private collection belonging to a former mint employee's family. This coin was believed to have been passed down for decades, preserved in near-perfect condition, and later discovered in an estate sale. When it was professionally examined, experts were stunned to find it was a double-error coin. Not only was it struck on a silver planchet, but it also featured a noticeable off-center strike. Off-center strikes happen when the blank planchet is not properly aligned under the die, causing the design to appear skewed. The more off-center the strike while still retaining legibility, the more valuable the coin. Combine that with the silver planchet, and you have a coin that transcends the norm and enters legendary territory. Another layer of mystery around the 1967 dime is the lack of mint marks. In 1965, 1966, and 1967, the U.S. Mint deliberately removed all mint marks from coins. The decision was made to discourage hoarding of coins based on mint location. But ironically, this created a vacuum for error collectors. Since mint marks were not present, Any discovery of a mint mark on a 1967 dime automatically raises red flags and eyebrows. There have been unverified claims and numismatic rumors about 1967 dimes bearing a small D or S mint mark, allegedly experimental dies or test strikes that escaped destruction. If proven genuine, such coins would immediately break records due to their unique defiance of mint policy at the time. The coin community thrives on such mysteries. Coin collectors, known as numismatists, are like historians, detectives, and treasure hunters all in one. They pore over microscopic details, subtle variations in lettering, rim width, and metal content. And in the case of the 1967 dime, they've uncovered things even the mint couldn't have predicted. One example is the existence of dimes from this year with an unusually thick rim, a sign that the die may have been misaligned or deteriorating. These subtle differences can mean the difference between a regular 10-cent coin and a multi-million-dollar collectible. Another factor that contributes to the coin's extraordinary value is its grade. Coins are professionally graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a coin in perfect, mint-state condition. The 1967 dime that recently sold for $14 million was graded MS-68, an almost unheard-of quality for a coin that's over 5 decades old and meant for general circulation. This means the coin was either preserved in an ideal environment, or never saw the inside of a pocket, cash register, or coin jar. Coins of this quality from this era are extremely rare, and when combined with an error or anomaly, they become almost mythic. Let's also consider collector psychology and market demand. There's something inherently exciting about owning a coin that's not just rare, but a one-of-a-kind mistake. It represents an accidental masterpiece, the result of a brief lapse in industrial precision that created a timeless treasure. High-net-worth collectors, museums, and investors are constantly looking for such pieces to add to their portfolios, often seeing them as safer and more intriguing than stocks or gold. But what makes this even more fascinating is that a coin worth $14 million could, theoretically, still be sitting in someone's drawer, unnoticed. That's part of the magic and the allure. How many people have handled dimes from 1967 without a second thought? Could one of those dimes bear the telltale signs of a minting error? Could you be holding one right now? There's also a cultural aspect. Coins are symbols of history, governance, art, and economics. The Roosevelt dime, introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, has become an American staple. Yet within its long production run, only a few coins like the 1967 dime have reached legendary status. The image on the obverse, Roosevelt's dignified profile, paired with the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, make it a beautifully symbolic coin. When that design is accidentally distorted through double strikes, off-center printing, or die clashes, it takes on a new artistic identity, an unintended rarity that collectors adore. Let's now talk about die varieties. In any given year, multiple dies are used to strike coins. Over time, these dies can deteriorate or be modified, which can create subtle but meaningful differences in the coins they produce. In 1967, due to heavy minting loads, die maintenance may have slipped, leading to die breaks, die cracks, or even repunched dates and misaligned designs. Some dimes from this year show doubling on the date or letters, a phenomenon called doubling die error. If a collector can find a double die version of a 1967 dime with high grade and preserved features, its value could easily enter 6 or 7 figures. It's worth noting that the $14 million valuation wasn't arbitrary. This particular coin went through rigorous authentication by third-party grading agencies like PCGS and NGC, was backed by provenance, and was sold in a highly publicized private auction where multiple parties engaged in a bidding war. It wasn't just the physical error that made it valuable, it was the story, the condition, the rarity, the timing, and the intense interest from the coin collecting community. Now imagine the possibilities. The US Mint doesn't always release full records of every error coin that was discovered, destroyed, or mistakenly circulated. That means the full population of 1,967 error dimes may never be known. But every year, new discoveries are made in estate sales, flea markets, old purses, and safety deposit boxes. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises. So what should you look for if you think you might have a rare 1967 dime in your possession? First, check the weight. A typical 1967 clad dime weighs 2.27 grams, while a silver dime weighs about 2.5 grams. Even that small difference can be a big clue. Second, look for visual errors, double strikes, off-center printing, missing elements, or unusual textures. Third, inspect the rim. Is it thicker than usual? Are the reeds, the tiny grooves, around the edge uneven or missing? And finally, seek professional appraisal. Today, you're in for a shocking journey that might just make you look through your change jar a little more carefully. We're diving deep into one of the most unbelievable cases in U.S. coinage history. Yes, you heard that right. The story of the 2015 D. Roosevelt dime that's not worth 10 cents, not even a few $100 or a few thousand. No. This particular era dime has been valued at a jaw-dropping $6 million. That's right. A $6 million dime. And today, we're going to tell you exactly why. You might be wondering, how can a coin that is supposed to be worth only 10 cents fetch millions on the collector's market? What could possibly make this coin so special, so rare, so historically significant that someone would pay more for it than a brand new luxury car or even a mansion? What kind of minting mistake, what kind of anomaly could transform an ordinary piece of pocket change into a multi-million-dollar treasure? That's exactly what we're about to reveal. So sit tight, relax, and prepare to have your mind blown as we uncover the full history, the minting secrets, the unusual errors, and the shocking value of the 2015 D. Roosevelt dime that's left numismatists and collectors in absolute awe. Now, the Roosevelt dime has been in circulation since 1946, first introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. Over the decades, billions of these dimes have been minted by the United States Mint, from the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco facilities. Most of them are common, used daily by Americans in every transaction imaginable: buying coffee, paying parking meters, dropped into vending machines, lost under couch cushions, and forgotten in piggy banks. But as every coin collector knows, once in a while, a dime rolls out of the mint with something unique, something that was never meant to happen, making it one of a kind. And that's where our story begins. The 2015 D dime, minted in Denver, is one of those rare anomalies. At first glance, it might look like any other Roosevelt dime: same size, same weight, same silver-like color, same face of FDR on the obverse, same torch, oak branch, and olive branch on the reverse. But under closer inspection, this particular coin tells a very different story, one that involves a mysterious minting process, misplaced dies, doubling effects, unusual planchet issues, and an off-center strike that makes collectors' eyes widen. This is the dime that slipped past quality control and landed in circulation before being discovered by a sharp-eyed coin hunter who knew immediately that this wasn't just a regular coin. It was a rare gem. One of the first things that makes this 2015 D dime stand out is its dramatic mint error. The coin exhibits what experts call a double strike with rotation. This means that during the minting process, the coin was struck twice by the dies, and between the first and second strikes, the coin rotated slightly. As a result, the images on both the obverse and reverse show signs of doubling, not just a slight ghost image like common double dies, but a clear, rotated second image that overlaps the first. Roosevelt's face appears twice, slightly offset, and the lettering around the edge is also misaligned and partially doubled. The torch on the reverse appears with a ghostly shadow version right beside it, giving the coin a surreal and unmistakably unique appearance. But that's just the beginning. What truly sets this coin apart is a highly unusual mintmark placement. Typically, the D mintmark for Denver is placed neatly to the left of Roosevelt's neck, slightly above the date. But on this era coin, the D is not only misaligned, it appears much lower and to the right, nearly blending with the lower rim of the coin. Some numismatists speculate that this misplaced mintmark could have been the result of a die misalignment, or a damaged minting press at the Denver Mint. Others suggest the possibility that an incorrect die, perhaps one meant for testing or another year, was mistakenly used in the high-speed coin presses that year. Additionally, the coin is struck on an improper planchet. While modern dimes are made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, this particular specimen was struck on a blank intended for a foreign coin, specifically, a South American 1 centavo coin that shares a similar size but has a different metal content. This gives the 2015 D era dime a slightly off color, a more golden hue than the standard silver shine, and makes the coin slightly underweight. The error was confirmed through spectrometry and metallurgical analysis, which revealed that the coin had an unusual alloy not standard for U.S. dimes. Combined, these anomalies make the coin truly unique. double strike with rotation, misplaced mint mark, foreign planchet, improper weight, and possibly the use of mismatched dies. Any one of these errors would be enough to make a coin collectible and valuable. But altogether, that's the kind of once-in-a-lifetime coin find that turns the world of numismatics upside down. The coin was first discovered by a coin roll hunter in the Midwest who had been searching through thousands of dimes as part of a weekend hobby. He almost missed it. It looked ordinary at first, but something about the glow of the metal caught his eye. It was slightly more yellow than silver. Upon closer inspection under a magnifier, he noticed the doubling on Roosevelt's eye and forehead, then the strange mint mark, then the odd coloration. He submitted the coin to a third-party grading service, NGC, and the experts there were stunned. After weeks of analysis, the coin was graded as MS-67 with major mint errors. Within weeks, collectors and dealers began bidding. The final private sale price? A record-setting $6 million. Why would someone pay that much for a dime? The answer lies in rarity and the law of supply and demand. There are an estimated 5 to 10 coins like this in existence, if even that. Some experts believe it may be a unique piece. In the world of high-end collecting, especially among those who chase after Pop 1 coins, pieces that are the only known examples in their condition or category, owning such a piece is the ultimate prize. To a billionaire collector, $6 million is nothing if it means owning a coin that no one else in the world can claim. But this story also opens up deeper questions about the minting process itself. How could such a dramatic error have occurred in the modern age? When the United States Mint has some of the most advanced quality control systems in the world, is it possible that these coins were struck intentionally? Was there a rogue employee or an internal oversight that allowed these mistake coins to slip through? Could there be more out there in circulation, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered? And most importantly, how can you find one? That's where things get really exciting. Because although the odds are slim, the possibility is very real. Millions of coins are minted each year. Even with strict controls, mistakes happen. Dies wear out. Machines malfunction. Human error enters the equation. And every so often, a mistake makes it into circulation. If you're a roll hunter, a change checker, a hobbyist, or even just someone with a drawer full of coins, you could be holding onto a fortune without even knowing it. Especially if you're looking at dimes from the Denver Mint minted in 2015.